Oh, good old Marvel's Eternals. It's once again met its arch nemesis like everything else in the MCU. Yes, that's right, Leak O'Clock is back. Because thanks to a recent Monopoly board, we now know the settings of the Eternals. And some secret settings, some major settings that obviously will play a big role in terms of the film's narrative. So let's talk about one of many. Well, no, that's not the location. One of many locations. That's what I meant to say. One of many locations. Now, since everybody here quite clearly cares about history and reading history books, we all know about Mesopotamia, right? No? Okay. Alright, to make it simple for you, it is a area situated between the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers, and in terms of human history, one of the most important locations in our entire existence. This is where some of the most significant and most rapid evolution of everything we know today was invented. From writing to math to the wheel, sailboats, and concepts of time were all invented here during this rapid period of growth. It was one of those locations where suddenly you look at it, you go, how did all of this converge up upon itself within such a short time frame and all come to exist here? Enter the Eternals. The Eternals interfered. We now know this because this is quite obviously where the film is going to establish that the Eternals first showed up. And again, if we look at the recent Monopoly board, a Mesopotamian fishing village is one of the locations that is on there, alongside some seaside cliffs, which obviously we suspect are part of the same location, but you never know, they may be playing around with elements. So this is one of those things where if we look at it and we line this up with the fact that they said the Eternals have existed on Earth for over 7,000 years, historically, depending on where you look, how you look at the excavations of human bones throughout history, the migration, and of course, if you really factor in the whole ancient aliens theory, / many of the writings by Zecharia Sitchin, for example, you're going to be able to find exactly what they're pulling from here and use that for this film, which definitely, again, I think tracks right here with everything that they've sort of been establishing for a long time as the foundation of the MCU and how the Eternals is going to build up upon that. Now, when it comes to, some of these, let's say, grand scope concepts, I think it's quite clear now, since we have the Ishtar Gate. Hopefully I said that right. I can never remember how to say these old names correctly. Anyways, hopefully I said that right, but we can now see that that's quite clearly the blue structure in the trailers. And then if we look at something else like Great Ziggurat of I think this is another telltale sign that we are actually going to see Marvel Studios establish that the Eternals did literally influence everything, from our writing to our knowledge of everything. And I really do like that because they can really lay in the foundation of the gods and then sort of build up a rivalry during the course of the MCU into gods versus actual perceived gods versus demigods. And again, you can bring in everything that's been established in Thor and start to put that into question. And I think that's an interesting angle that I think they're going to play here, because just by looking at the trailers and comparing it to historic writing and what they could do, there is a lot. And there's obviously going to be room for sequels, because we don't know how they're going to track with Babylon, for example. We don't know what they're going to be doing with the likes of everything in Mesoamerica, for example. And it looks like Black Panther 2 might touch upon that to some degree. So it'll be interesting to see if this has any effect on that in their belief system, because in my opinion, as somebody who loves history, this is the most fascinating thing to me that they're doing right now with the MCU. So exploring that and then seeing how everything splinters off in the evolutionary tree is going to be really interesting to see how they could explain this evolution of other cultures that are obviously super advanced, like Wakanda, that's been advanced for as long as the Eternals have been on the planet. So how did they stay hidden? How did the Eternals not find it? That's going to be really interesting, and I hope they get into that, because that brings up a lot of questions. And probably some really cool answers if they can get to them. Boy, this video really went on longer than typical. This is what you get when you get somebody obsessed with history, specifically ancient history, and then you let them make videos on Eternals. This is what you get.